Welcome, everyone. We're going to have a gathering song. As folks come into the room, we're so happy to see you. Welcome to the advisory council members and the members of our wider community who are here with us tonight to celebrate our intern ministers and the year so far. Scott, when you're ready, you can turn on our gathering music.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the expanded celebratory TXUUJM Justice Ministry Advisory Council and Friends meeting tonight. We are especially excited to celebrate and honor our intern minister extraordinaire, Sarah Berel-Harrop, and Texas Impact Fellow, yes, woo, 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 Heather Malkawi, whose ministerial internship with Texas Impact was also in relationship with TXUUJM. And so we're just so beyond blessed by the ministries and the gifts of these two wonderful people. And so we celebrate them tonight. If you haven't seen yet in the chat, there's an invitation to check in. So let us know who you are, your name, your pronouns, if you like, your congregation, context, location in the chat, please. Welcome, welcome. And I know I went by that kind of quickly and I saw some cheering hands. Do we want to express some cheering just to kick it off however you would like. Visually, woo, or cheering in our homes. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. The tech savvy among us have reactions to post. Wonderful. All right. Let's see what I have on my agenda here as our wonderful tech hosts are letting folks into the room. Let's see. Okay. First of all, I'm going to light our chalice. If you have a chalice in your home, I invite you to do so as well, or to create a symbol with your hands or your body, or just take a moment to pause. I light this chalice with gratitude for all the people who make our Texas UU Justice Ministry possible, for the ministers and volunteers and justice seekers, family and ancestors who have come before, and for our youth and those who will follow. I've almost got it, but you see that there's fire. Blessed be. If you are a member of Sarah Berel-Harrop's internship committee, the Committee on Ministry, will you wave or indicate with a reaction emoji on your screen? I see Carrie Stewart. I see, who else is here? I see Reverend Dan King. Thank you, Reverend Dan. Who else is here from the committee? I see Representative, oh no, this is from Heather's committee. Okay, if other members of your committee show up, Sarah, let me know. And then Heather Malkawi's committee, make a joyful gesture or indicate, there we go. Oh, there's Dan. There's Representative Donna Howard. Donna, thank you so much for serving on Heather's committee. Reverend Dan, thank you. Let's see who else is here. All right. Well, I want to say just a little bit about what it means to have a committee and to be part of this process to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. But before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about what to expect for tonight, our agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, this sacred path that Sarah and Heather are on and what it means for the Texas UU Justice Ministry to be part of that. And then Michelle Venegas Matula, our congregational and justice organizer, is going to lead us through a look at the last 6 months. It was very gratifying for the team to put these slides together and see the incredible work that you all have done just in the last 6 months. We will hear from Sarah and from Heather about their internship experiences a little bit, what's next for them, and then you will get a chance to come off mute if you like and share a memory with them, share some words of gratitude directly to them. Perhaps ask a question if you have a question, but a chance to appreciate them yourselves, because I know that you have had really meaningful experiences with them in their service. Then we will take a little time of breath, because this is our last big thing together, except for the board meeting that the board and I will have tomorrow before our month of study leave and vacation. That means institutional closure in July, which we take every year, so that you all get a break. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then you'll hear from the team about what's coming down the pike, August and beyond. And we'll check out, and in our checkout, you'll get to also offer a blessing for Sarah and Heather. So hang with us for this hour if you can. That's what's in store for us. Thank you so much for being here. And I know what happens. I often forget to do this. So before we do anything else, can we take a picture of this glorious group of people? If you're willing to come off, if you're willing to show your face, wonderful. If you're not, we're happy to have your name. And whatever expression, I won't tell anyone to smile, but whatever expression you choose to make, we will love to have you in this picture. Ready? 1, let's see if I can do it. 2, 3. I did it. One more time, just in case. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, because it's a special time. It's our last meeting with Sarah as our intern minister. Can we kind of take a breath about that? How has it been 2 years, Sarah? I don't know. I don't know. So, okay. Some context for how special it is that we've had Sarah for 2 years and Heather in relationship with the Justice Ministry for a year, and then we'll move on. It's not easy to find an internship site, number one. You have to have an internship site as part of your path to ministry. Um, a lot of our congregations, as you probably know, are in transition of some kind, are lay led. Maybe they have an interim minister or developmental minister. There's a huge capital campaign going on. Any number of reasons why a church might not have the capacity to take on an intern. Interns bring incredible gifts and capacity building to an organization and a church if things go well, which they very much have in this case, but it is a big responsibility for a church or an organization. And so this is our first time as an organization being a learning site for ministers in formation. And so I want to thank the committees that supported these intern ministers over the course of a full-time year for Heather and 2 years of half-time for Sarah. And I want to thank all of you for the ways that you so faithfully engaged with them. This was a learning site. They are professionals in so many ways, and they were learning along the way. And so you were such a big part of that. I also want to thank anyone who was a donor during the last 2 years, because your donations made it possible for us to fund the internship, for us to fund the time that I spend as a supervisor. It's really, we thank you, and we're really proud that the Justice Ministry could serve in this way. And we're just so thankful for Sarah and Heather and their ministry. You're going to hear a lot more about that as we go on tonight, but I just wanted to give you that context, that this is a sacred and first time thing for us, and also a really important and not to be taken for granted thing in the path to ministry. And then also just that we need more ministers. We need more ministers who are grounded in justice. Our movement needs Sarah and needs Heather. So thank you for being part of that path. All right, that's enough for me. I think we have a couple of slides. I apologize, Scott. If you want to put the slideshow on real quick. Thank you. So we're celebrating our year so far. If you'll scroll forward for me. Thank you so much to Scott Gray from Oak Cliff UU in Dallas for helping run the slides tonight. There's some of you, again, big thanks. We said this: board, advisory council, ministers, religious professionals, the Action Hour team, which has also been a part of a lot of our evening gatherings. Thank you, Action Hour team, donors, and just all of you. Let's move forward on the slides. Okay, so I've already talked about them a little bit. Sarah, the voting and electoral portfolio, Action Hour. There's one of her letters to the editor. She brings so much fun and delight to some of these things. I am sorry, Sarah, I couldn't resist that Pizza Hat elections picture. It's so great, but also such depth, such wisdom, such research. And she has been involved in so many projects. I can't list them all, but trans inclusion in congregations, went to the sacred conference. I'm going to ask you to keep going with the slides, because we'll get into more. I could go on forever, and there's Heather, border trip, all of the work at the Capitol for trans rights, guest preaching, spending time on her own down at the border in support of folks down there when they were going through a particularly hard time. Heather also, I think, was involved with the trans inclusion program that we did, co-facilitated one. So anyway, you'll hear more, but they're both just amazing. So that's who we're talking about if you haven't met them yet. And now we'll, I think, turn it over to Michelle. Well, let's see what the next slide is, Scott. Yep, Michelle, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Venegas Matula. I use she and ija pronouns, and I'm the Congregational Justice Organizer for TXUUJM Justice Ministry. And I'm just so excited to be here and getting to celebrate our wonderful interns. They've been amazing. And I wanted to also get to celebrate some of the things that we have gotten to do in the past 6 months, but also I'm going to take you back a little bit for before that with the legislative accomplishments that we have for 2023, because it's so important to like always celebrate like the things that all the wins that we have, no matter how big or small. It's really how we can stay grounded and resilient and in our joy. And also because the work that we do really does make a difference. And whenever we show up, it's noticed. Our partners notice. So here on this slide, we did help to get the raise the age. This was a bill that was for our for gun safety. It was raising the age. It was 21 for 21. So raising the minimum age of 21 for purchasing assault rifles in the state of Texas. And it was for the 21 victims in Uvalde. And it got out of committee. That's huge. For Texas, that's huge. And we're going to keep going and build on that. We also want to celebrate Representative Donna Howard's gun safety billboard bill that passed so that we can get people educated on staying safe. And thank you so much, Representative Donna, for all your hard work. We know it's tough out there, and we just always appreciate your support. We also defeated the SB 2209 bill, which would have ended civilian oversight for police. And for racial justice, we got the Crown Act passed, which helps to stop hair discrimination. That really does affect a lot of our Black siblings, as well as expanding our Medicaid for postpartum health care to 1 full year. And again, our Black maternal care, this is really important for that and other BIPOC folks. So yeah, next slide. We also defeated 95% of the anti-LGBTQ plus bills that were filed in this 88th regular session. We know that some terrible things did pass, but oh my goodness, it could have been a lot worse. And so we appreciate the coalitions that we worked with, that we're part of, with our partners like Equality Texas. So it also for SB 1515, we know in the news, we just saw how Louisiana passed this, and we were able to defeat it. And we're just grateful for this work. It's gonna be, we can almost guarantee that this will probably come back again. So, we need to keep on doing, showing up and doing this work. And we also, despite like 4 special sessions, we defeated school vouchers. And again, that's one of those that's probably going to come back. And so we need to keep showing up and speaking out and living into our UU values in the public square. So yeah, that we'll get to the next slide. So since then, in the fall, we were able to gather together for our TXUUJM and DRUM, this diverse revolutionary UU multicultural ministries. This is the longest serving BIPOC organization within our UU faith. And so we collaborated together and gathered together and really had a joyful time. I also have pictures of some of our volunteers because it was, thanks to our host congregations and our white allies that also helped to support these gatherings that really helped us to connect and find some respite. Next slide. And then in the spring, now we're within that 6-month period, we had our annual gathering at First Dallas. We're so grateful for them hosting. We had so many amazing speakers, and we also had our youth caucus. It was a beautiful gathering and really inspiring. Next slide. As you can see, we had a panel discussion, and Sarah also led a deep, I don't want to say workshop, but it was a time for connecting and really thinking about how we practice our UU faith in the justice work. as well as we've heard from our youth caucus that they had had some time with us and then some time separate on their own and had their own speakers. And we're just so grateful for that time that we had together and all the volunteers, because it did take a lot of volunteers to help make this a successful event. So thank you to all of you. Let's go to the next slide. And then in May, we also met with the UU Service Committee that was visiting in Dallas. And Sarah and I got to do a presentation for them and really talk about the work that we have done. UUSC, the College of Justice, has partnered with us and helped fund some of our programming. So we were very grateful to have that opportunity to connect with them. And at that same weekend, the Vidas Robadas rally was happening as a counter protest to the National Rifle Association having their national gathering at the same time. And so the Vidas Robadas is a way to bring awareness to gun violence, and it memorializes those that have lost their lives because of guns, both whether accidental, homicide, suicide, but really bringing that awareness. And several of our congregations have connected with us in Texas Impact to be able to bring this to their congregations and having the installations at their congregations. So grateful to all the ones that have said yes. I don't have a current list in front of me, but I know many of you have. And what's going to happen is we'll gather, this is an interfaith project. And so it's multiple different faiths in religious organizations, as well as community organizations that are putting on these installations. And then we're gathering all these shirts from all over Texas and taking them to the Capitol whenever the legislative session begins in 2025. We had about over 25 folks that showed up for this particular rally, probably closer to 30, including a lot of our local Dallas, Fort Worth folks. So thank you for showing up for that too. Next slide. And we also participated in the Border Network and the Poor People's Campaign rallies. We had so many folks show up for Poor People's Campaign and had an amazing show with what's happening at the border. We know that Operation Lone Star and SP4 really is causing a lot of concern for the safety of our immigrant communities, as well as our border communities, and the militarization of our border. You know, it's so important to push back against that and to show up for our partners. But yeah, both of those were really impactful and well attended. We'll go to the next slide. Next slide, please. And then with all of this, there was also hearings that have been happening with the Senate at the Capitol. One of these was the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion ban hearing. This was a ban against any of these programs at our state universities, as well as this particular hearing also included the student protests that happened calling for a divestment and ceasefire on for the war in Gaza. It was a full house. We had so many of our UU members show up, UU members and friends show up and be their support and also to speak. And we're so grateful to them. The stories we heard was a lot of pain that has happened because of this new law that bans the DEI offices in our universities, as well as the state sanctioned violence that happened against our students and faculty. It it was really impactful hearing all those stories. Some folks came down, they started their trip like at 5 in the morning to be able to come from other towns. And the hearings lasted all the way until 8:30. So grateful for all of you that hung in there and told your stories or just came out and showed support. We'll go to the next slide, please. And then we also more recently had another hearing that was again about the militarization of the border, Operation Lone Star. The room was packed with law enforcement officers because they were invited testimony. And the stories that they told were, to put it lightly, some of them were just inhumane. And that they were so focused on just the numbers of, how many folks they had caught, how much money it cost, and the human story and those most impacted, their stories were not being heard. And so we had organized with border communities because it takes more than a day for them to come up to the Capitol, and it takes away from their, being able to go to work or take care of their families and other responsibilities. We offered to read their stories, to send us their testimony and read their stories. And we had their photos as well. I want to thank America Garcia, that is with the Eagle Pass Network, Border Coalition, who was kind of my partner in this and collecting those stories and photos. We had so many folks show up. We had about 20 of our Unitarian Universalist members that came to read these stories. We held up the pictures as we read their stories and really brought that human aspect to who's really being impacted and what's the real cost of what's happening. We showed up with our partners. Our partners helped us so much in getting a room and the different things that we needed. But we had, people from Tapestry, from First Houston, people that were traveling from out of town. And then we also had folks that donated so people could travel to be able to testify. We had people offer home hospitality. So we each can do a little bit to make this happen. It was such a huge, huge impact. So we'll go next. Yeah, again, the photos of all the folks that helped out. Some folks showed up just to help me set up the tables and paper and food. But just so grateful for all those that were able to participate and help to make this happen and make sure that our siblings at the border and immigrant communities, that their voices are heard in this discussion. So we'll go to the next one. Yep. I'll pass it over to Reverend Aaron.
Thank you. That was a lot. That was a lot in just a few months. And two things have really made that possible. I'm sure the list is long, but the two that really come to mind right now are the capacity building that we were able to do by having Sarah as our intern and having Heather in her work with Texas Impact and in relationship, and then your donations. So as we've just witnessed all of that was just a few months of work, the organizing time that goes into that. I want to point something out because I tend to forget and point this out at the end, and then half of the room is gone. But I've put the donation link in there. This year, we've been also dealing with a lot of systems transition as an organization. The Coalition of UU State Action Networks has taken on a new, more powerful email and donation system called Every Action, but it's taking us a long time to do all the migration. So you haven't been able to make donations to support the work when you register for a program, when you register for climate justice or the Steve Phillips talk, when you register for tonight. And that was a way that we we reliably receive donations throughout the year. And until we get all of this new system integrated, that's not happening. So I just extra want to draw your attention to our usual donation link on our website tonight and ask you to consider making a donation at this point in the year in recognition of all the good work that the team, the interns, the volunteers have done in these first 6 months. So that link to donate is in the chat. I'm going to go real quickly through the programmatic piece, which is short. So Scott, if you want to put the slides back up, and then we're going to hear from Sarah and Heather, because I think that's one of the most important things we'll do tonight. All right. So action is a big part of what we do, but we are also a faith formation organization. We are an organization that provides educational tools and resources for our congregations and for you as advocates to show up and have the tools that you need. So just quickly, I'll share a little bit of our programming. Let's see, can we move forward on the slide? Scott, there you go. All right, again, so much gratitude to the Action Hour team, Thursday nights and final Fridays. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is the home of our actions every week. You never have to wonder what the most important things are or what the grounding is. It's been going on every week. Led by Sarah and our volunteers. And two of those key talks that we had, you see Steve Phillips and climate justice. Just a quick note to those of you who attended, we have not forgotten that we're going to send you the recording and resources. This has just been a pretty nonstop spring. And so that is on the to-do list. Keep an eye on your email in the next week or so. That's coming your way. We want to remind you that the Trans Inclusion in Congregations online course is free to TXUUJM members and congregations forever. And it lives on our website where you can register. We encourage you to consider this program every year. It is particularly needed right now coming out of General Assembly. There's a need for this in our congregation. So I am happy to talk with you about it more. Lots of folks in this group have done it. We encourage you to please bring this program to your congregation. We also will look at when TXUUJM is going to offer it again virtually, but it's really valuable for your congregations to do. And we've gotten the funding for you to have it for free instead of having to pay for it congregation by congregation. Could you scroll forward, Scott? Thank you. Yep, you can keep moving. That was me just talking about the things that we just saw. Thank you. Okay, and you heard about Drum a little bit from Michelle, the socials. We intend to have the Central Texas Social rescheduled for this fall, so stay tuned. If you'd like to help plan the Central Texas Social with TXUUJM and Drum, you can reach out to Michelle or Taylor, and we are going to get that scheduled for fall. Great, sweet photos from the Emerson gathering. All right, next slide. And of course, we have a team of folks who want to come and visit your congregation for a Sunday service. There's myself, there's our staff, there's seminarians, there's speakers from around the state. So if you haven't had a TXUUJM worship service yet in 2024, please send us an email and let's get scheduled. If you're the person who's usually the contact for your dues for TXUUJM 2 and you're not sure if that's happened for 2024, or you share the plate, TXUUJM@gmail, and we will get you on the schedule. During July, that's one of the most important things we do is we check in with our congregations and our advisory council members and see, okay, whose calendar do we need to catch up with? So we'll be doing that in July. It's a great time to reach out and make sure that we're coming to see you. All right, next slide. Just more from our youth. When I saw this slide, I just got really choked up. If there are youth in your congregation, families in your congregation, emerging adults in your congregation that you think we could connect with, we really want to. We want to engage more with the youth. Michelle's been doing a great job. But yeah, let's keep growing that youth caucus. It's so important. Next slide. Okay, we'll get back to this. All right. Thank you again for being part of all of that work so far this year. I'm going to turn it over to our intern minister, Sarah Berel-Harrop, who, like, I will never have the words for the gratitude and the joy that I have for working with Sarah these past 2 years. Sarah, I turn it over to you to share what's on your heart, any memories from the last 2 years that you'd like to share with folks. What's next for you? I know people are dying to know. I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you with deep, deep gratitude for you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Aaron, and thank you for the opportunity to do my internship with the Justice Ministry. Beloveds, would you believe I started all this because I wanted to accompany people and their families at the end of their life. That was my call. It was to chaplaincy, and that is still my call. But this side quest into working with the Justice Ministry has been so fulfilling and so powerful in ways that I could never express. I want to first give my deep gratitude towards the internship committee who said yes to this endeavor, which opened up so much possibility for the future of TXUUJM being a learning and teaching organization, to Carrie Stewart, who has so much on her plate and yet agreed to be the chair of the internship committee, to Tina Harmuth, to Reverend Dan King, to Reverend Nell Newton, and to Rude, my friend, who died during my internship, and yet was always present. Like, that's what the internship committee showed up with presence, with support, with vulnerability, and with really great questions about who I am and what I want as a minister. And so thank you to my internship committee who have opened the space for this, for us to be able to collaborate for Heather's internship and for future internships. To the community that I have been getting to know all through this time. I've learned so much about there's so many ways that we can be involved. Um, I came to this internship with the idea of cultivating an abundance mentality instead of a scarcity mentality. And that's part of the work that I feel like collectively we've done of um, of just deciding to right size whatever it is that we are going to do to meet the capacity of the people available to do it. And just like, this is who we are, this is what we've chosen to show up for, and we're just gonna show up and it will be enough. Which I have experienced, it seems so small, but I've experienced so much growth by just making that simple choice institutionally with my colleagues and with, all of y'all who participate. And y'all have brought your own time, your own financial resources, your passions, and had the vulnerability to come and show up even if our hopes are dashed or if we know that the result isn't going to be the result that we want. And that's the main thing that I've learned is the importance of presence, of showing up. um the key to my ministry, um I don't know, there's more than one key. It's very important to me to be with people and talk to people and help them to discover their own power within and how to unlock that and bring that into the world. And I've seen all of y'all grow and do that. finally would just shout out to the Action Hour team, which we started with these Texas Power Hours before I was even associated with the Justice Ministry. And then when I came to the Justice Ministry, we're like, okay, let's keep doing this. And this space has held so many things. And so I really, that all of y'all have been with us through that to make this powerful space has been amazing. For the next steps, yes, it is chaplaincy, but I'm so excited that I will be able to continue this side quest till the end of the year as the Faith in Democracy organizer for the Texas Justice Ministry. And so I'm really excited to continue to work with vote captains into the end of the year. And that's what I got. Thank you so much for the time, Reverend Aaron.
You're so welcome. And we're so excited that you're going to stay a little bit longer. Thank you, Sarah. How about just a moment of cheering? That spirit of both abundance and right sizing is huge for us. And thank you for living that with us, that we can do so much and be so much, and also we can show up just as we are. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, it's just really, it's been such a gift. And then another gift to this organization and to our Unitarian Universalist faith has been Heather Malkawi's decision to be on the path to ministry as well. And I'll just say a little bit because the logistics were a little funky, right, Heather? So people can know a little bit about how this worked. And then Heather can share what she would like to share. So again, it's not easy to find an internship site, and it's not easy to find a UU minister in full fellowship. So you can't just be someone's teaching pastor or internship supervisor in the first year of ministry, sometimes not even the 5th year of ministry. It depends on where you are in your own path. So you need to be someone who's in full fellowship like I am, and some of us are. And then you need to have a site that can sustain. So they've started to get more creative because there just aren't enough matches. And so Heather served with Texas Impact, an interfaith organization, a partner organization of ours. TXUUJM is a member. Your congregations, by extension, are members of Texas Impact. And I served as the internship committee chair for Heather's committee, because you're not allowed and I wouldn't have had time to be the supervisor of 2 interns. That would be impossible. But they needed to at least have a UU minister in full fellowship involved in the process. So I served as the committee chair for Heather, and B. Moorhead, the executive director of Texas Impact, was B's supervisor. Was Heather's supervisor. And we put together a committee that was a mix of Texas Impact and TXUUJM folks to support Heather. And Heather's was a full-time 1 year versus Sarah's being a part-time 2 year. So we're getting creative, because this work matters, and supporting our intern ministers on their path really matters. So Heather, thank you so much for getting creative and making the Texas UU Justice Ministry a part of your path. And I will turn it over to you for what you'd like to share with the community.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm actually coming to you from my car right now. It just kind of goes to show the always having to have your head on the swivel and on pivot to do what you can to do the things that you really want to do, making space for the things that are important and the people who are important. So before anything else, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not have made this internship fully work without TXUUJM, without the wonderful work of Reverend Aaron and the dedication that she has provided and the guidance, along with Sarah working with you and Michelle, both at the Capitol and working as a co-facilitator with the Trans Inclusion Program. And like Aaron was saying, for mine, it was a little bit different. It was completely patchwork, piecemeal. We're going to make this work. We have a deficit here in the Austin area, sadly. So we're going to make something work, and then we're going to let them know, hey, here's how we're doing, and this is what we're doing. And they have at the UUA have been incredibly welcoming and hands and arms wide open for the creativity that it took. My committee, like Erin said, was just amazing. We're able to gather people from the TXUUJM world, from different UU congregations. And then I also was able to gather one of my coworkers from Texas Impact, our director of financial aid from my seminary, which isn't a UU seminary. And then I had the ultimate pleasure of being able to work with Donna Howard on my committee also. Just the entire process was so beneficial and life-giving and just guiding. It was wonderful. And they were open to so many changes, so many possibilities. And so for all of that, I'm so grateful. There's such an abundance of support and encouragement from TXUUJM, from my committee, from everybody. And even doing guest speaking, I loved it. Just being able to go out and visit with congregations throughout the state of Texas. I have been able to go to Brownsville, the UU fellowship down in Brownsville, a few in Houston, there's another one down by the border, and it's killing me that I can't remember. It was beautiful. I saw 2 parrots sitting on a telephone wire, so it was just like craziness, beautiful. But all the way up to Dallas, just the congregations I've been able to engage with. Thank you so much, because seeing all of your faces, it was like a welcome home. Because I've seen you on the action hours, I have seen you at different Texas Impact events, but then when I walk into a UU church and I see the familiar faces, it truly is like walking into home and having somebody, they recognize you and they want you there. That is a feeling that can never be duplicated. And so I can never say thank you enough for that and being so welcoming. One thing, honestly, that I don't think that I will ever forget is the UU border trip. Part of my internship was Texas Impact has a courts and ports program. And so utilizing one of those trips to kind of educate and offer the opportunity to observe, just consciously observe what's going on at the border and center that around our UU values and what that means to us and what we can do moving forward, to bring that back to our own circles of influence. And that's where it's really important, is being able to take the things that you experience, take your own story, and take that back to your own circles of influence and moving forward for education and working towards a better world. So our UU border trip was something that was just formative for me. And I hope it was for the people that were able to participate. And I can't tell you how ecstatic I am to see that TXUUJM is planning another trip to be able to experience and witness what is truly going on. So let's see, what's next? So part of the reason I am sitting in my car is because I am finalizing all of my the things I need to do. I leave for Ghana tomorrow. I will be attending a theological conference. And so like, it was an opportunity that has really just kind of presented itself through a lot of the work that I've been doing, not only with Texas Impact, but with TXUUJM. And it is a conference centered around earth, pandemic, gender, and religion. And so it's the Sankofa conference in Ghana this year. I'll be there for about 2 weeks and really just gonna get an opportunity to go experience and witness what is going on there, so that then I can take those comparisons, because environmental issues are just overwhelming. They are absolutely impacting all of our lives in all of the aspects. I know it sounds like a very overwhelming and broad statement to make, but truly seeing how the environment and such is affecting everybody. So my hope is that eventually, because currently the UUA is putting together a Unitarian Universalist leadership and design team, really working on international UU collaborations. So that's my hope, that's my dream, is really working in that international interfaith space. So thank you so much for all of the love and support that I've received here, because it truly is an opportunity to come home.
Thank you so much, Heather. Gestures and cheers. I want to say one thing about these interns before we open it up to you to appreciate them. And I know we're a little behind time, but it's worth it, because this is why we were like, do we need an hour? Do we need 90 minutes? It's worth it to get to hear about the work and what you all are up to. So when Reverend Dan King, who's on this call, when we interned in our seminary process, being in a congregation, you get to see everybody every day, every week. On Sundays, you're talking to people in the parking lot, all of that. For these interns to have made meaningful connections with all of you, despite the fact that we're spread out over this huge state, we're not having the routine that you would have, and to be brave enough to try a different context that they felt called to do. I just want to lift that up, because it's not easy to be the first interns in an organization and to be a ministerial intern, but it's not a church. So that's some courage, and you all did an amazing job. Okay, I want to invite folks from this group. Will take about 10 minutes. You can share in the chat what gratitude or memory would you like to share with Heather or Sarah or both. Some of you have already been doing that. Or if you would like to raise your hand with the reaction and be called upon to talk out loud. Also have reserved some time for that. What gratitude or memory would you like to share with Sarah or Heather? While you're thinking, I'm looking for some of the ones that got shared in the chat in case they missed them. Carrie Schweitzer says, Sarah, I'll keep those thoughts about right sizing and abundance in mind. Lisa Casto sends love from Horizon. I see Jan Fletcher's hand. Go ahead and come off mute, Jan. Can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you yet. Let's see. While Jan's working on unmuting, Cindy, you want to go?
So yeah, so I just have to say, Sarah lives in Farmers Branch, so I realize not everybody knows what that means, but that is, I think that's a little bit north of Dallas. And then she was the DRE in Fort Worth at All People's Church. And of course, she's interning for y'all. She's going to school, seminary. She's a member. She's not sure what her role was at Horizon, but knowing Sarah, it was probably a busy role. And then just doing organizing for, the here in Tarrant County, which is where Fort Worth is. She just kind of blew my mind a lot of times, because, knowing that she was driving over from Farmers Branch, and she's just like what everybody sees here. She's just so capable and so helpful. And I'm getting a little bit teary. I'm going to miss you so much, Sarah. I mean, I don't know where you said chaplaincy, and I don't know, I'm not going to be mad, because I understand if you don't want to keep driving over from Farmers Branch, but yeah, just super glad I know you. And I wish the very, very best for you, Sarah. Wherever you go, wherever you're gonna be, the people are gonna benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Jan, you're up.
Yeah,
then
I'm up. I'm unmuted now.
You got it.
All right. Yeah, I am still very much a novice at a lot of this technical stuff. And one memory I have is the wonderful extra time that Sarah took after she came and spoke to our church. She came and gave me some extra pointers on how to work my computer problems with with all of the UGM, and it was just an amazing thing to listen to her knowledge. But the biggest thing about Sarah is her wonderful heart, and how I'll miss that. I'm thrilled we'll have her through December, but it's just, her heart is just so filled with love and compassion and passion for what she believes, and that makes such a wonderful person to know. I'm just very thrilled that I got a chance to be with her and spend time. And Sarah, you got to come back and speak to us. keep me posted, and keep me in with your contact information. We wish you the best, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months of still having you with us. Thank you so very much, Sarah, for everything that you do for our community and for the world. Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Jan. And I will say, Sarah told me today that she will stay on the Guest Speakers Guild. So
Yeah.
sign up.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for the effort that you make to be part of TXUUJM, coming from a congregation that's half Texas and half Oklahoma. All right, Sandy, and then Dale.
So I've got quite a few memories of working with Sarah the past 2 years. Since we're both in Dallas County, so one of our first legislative days, I was new to that whole process of going to visit your House of Representatives or members of the House. And Sarah and I, and maybe one or two other people, we kind of bonded together and went traipsing around the Capitol building and talking to a couple of people, and it kind of knocked my fear out of doing that, and it gave me confidence that I could do that myself. So Sarah, thank you. Sarah gave me some really outstanding advice about some stuff we were doing with Faith in Texas that really made a huge difference. I'm not going to go into that, but it was really great advice. Sarah invited me into the world of working as a poll worker. She called up and said, "Hey, you live in Dallas County? Yes, come be a poll worker with me." So Sarah's had a huge impact. I have and we did some work for Allies for Racial Equity. We did some work with that too. So I've just seen Sarah do so many wonderful things. She's become she's part of our Horizon Church membership. So we're so glad that we will get to see her. But I've just seen how much she's grown, and Sarah, thank you. You've had a really wonderful internship.
Dale.
Well, I can't be quite as eloquent as some of the others, but when I first moved to Houston, I joined First UU. I've always been interested in justice. And so I went to, I think it was the UUSJ national website, and I saw this power hour about actions. I thought, I'm going to go to that. And then I saw it was in Carrollton, a national power hour out of Carrollton. And anyway, that got me on the trail and got involved in Action Hour. And it's been a pleasure to have made a few contributions to that. And I mean, talk about Sarah knowing the DFW area. She knows more about Houston than, well, I'm not Houstonian, but I ask her questions, and she, oh yeah, I remember, yeah, I worked for her, et cetera, et cetera. She's all over the place. And I've got 3 questions out to her today, or maybe it was the other day. I always have questions for Sarah, and I'm like so many others that I don't know what we're going to do without her. But and I can't stress enough, we know about the action hour and you the vote, but the lobby day, you can't imagine what she did behind the scenes. Pivot tables after pivot tables after pivot tables. And, I attended about 5 lobby days last spring, and ours may not have been the biggest. It was among the biggest, but, we can't match Equality Texas, but it was the best organized by far. And we should appreciate that. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Dale. Before Representative Howard comes off mute, I'll say that I want to assure you, because I know people are concerned about what we're going to do without Sarah. A big part of the next 6 months is going to be us trying to learn some of the things that were in Sarah's portfolio even better, because one of the most important things about an internship is that the portfolio that the interns have not be a short-term thing, that it be gifts to the church or the organization moving forward and growing the capacity. So Sarah's legacy will continue. I will learn a pivot table if I have to. Anyway, it is such an honor to have Representative Donna Howard as a part of this team, and I invite you to come off mute. Thanks, Donna.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, unfortunately, because of the legislative work that was going on, I wasn't able to be as consistently and actively involved as I would have liked to have been, but I can tell you that Heather is just an amazing person. The relationship with Texas Impact is so valuable to UUs everywhere, coming together with the larger faith communities and having a stronger voice, especially in this time of Christian nationalism taking such prominence at the Capitol. Heather just has a strong voice. She understands how things work. She knew how to be a part of this whole interfaith effort. And that is extremely valuable. I mean, I'm a UU, but to say that we as UUs could be this one voice there making a difference, maybe so, but I'm a pragmatist here in Texas, in the Capitol. And having the larger voice is extremely important. Having a mainstream presence that is a counter voice to the Christian nationalism, and having the consistent showing up at the Capitol to express that voice that recognizes the values of our faith is just absolutely critical. It's absolutely critical. Right now, we are at such a horrible, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but we're at a horrible point, really, in the legislative process. And to be uplifted by people like Heather, who know how to come together and work with people and have that larger voice and that counter to what's going on is beyond valuable. So I just want to thank Heather for the work that you've done, what you're going to continue to do. Your work at the border is amazing. And that is absolutely something certainly that has to continue. So I look forward to seeing what you do in Ghana and beyond. You're an amazing person, Heather, and I'm glad that I got a chance to know you and to be a part of this committee. And we're all better off for what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you all for your sharing. We just take a moment to take that in. There's a lot of love in the chat, a lot of very specific memories that we will save. Thank you all so much for being present in this moment for Sarah and Heather's path. When you serve as an intern in a church, there's a closing worship service on a Sunday. This is that moment for us. And I just really thank you all for showing up today. So It is 8:05, and I hope you'll stick with us a little while longer because we have some great things to show you about what's coming. But I do, in the spirit that we've talked about, want to acknowledge our time of rest that's coming up in July. TXUUJM takes institutional rest like a lot of our State Action Network partners in July and December. We believe that this work is long haul work. It's generations and generations of bending Texas toward justice together and seeking collective liberation. So how we take care of each other as a community and how we take care of ourselves and our family is very, very important. So during this July time, the team will be doing some internal work, systems, outreach, calendaring, cleaning out the Google Drive, the many, many things that it takes to run a nonprofit of this size with a small staff, while being responsive to the needs of a very intense and large state like Texas. So we look forward to July. It also means it's a time where you will not get so many emails from us, and you will not be asked to go to meetings, and you will not be asked to go to the Capitol. If you choose to go to the Capitol, you can, but we're not going to be the ones emailing you during July. And so in that spirit, I want to read for you a reading before we talk about what happens in the fall. Pause for an incantation for rest from Unitarian Universalist poet Atina Danner, who I was pregnant with at the same time at Second Unitarian in Chicago 15 years ago. So she also holds a very special place in my heart. Will you take a breath? And take into your body and your spirit litanies of worthiness. For affirmation, I am worthy. I can be still. I will believe. I do belong. I am enough. I can receive. I will claim what I need. I deserve wholeness. I am important. I can take up space. I will not move. I matter. I am aware. I can listen. I will learn. I trust my wisdom. And for humility, I am open. I can discover. I will invite experience. I take risks. I am afraid. I can admit it. I will do what is right. I show up. I am tired. I can rest. I will slow down. I renew myself. I am full. I can share and I will offer what I have. I keep growing. Blessed be the vigilant, may they know rest. Blessed be the vulnerable, may we learn from their courage. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. Wishing you a restful July. And now I will ask Scott to show us the slides to give you some things to look forward to. Here we go. Just a few things. You can scroll forward. All right. We mentioned the border trip. I sent out an email today in the forum with a blurb about it. You'll also get it in the big Every Action newsletter from Taylor shortly. If you want to go forward one or back one, I don't know where the words were. I guess back one. But all you need to know really is that that link to register is also on our main website, TXUUJM.org. We're doing a trip that is particular to Houston UUs because they asked, they wanted to organize together and have an experience together. And we're doing a trip that's for anyone from TXUUJM statewide. If you want to organize a trip for a particular region of the state because you all want to have a shared experience that prompts you to organize in these issues, you need only ask and we will make it happen. That is how that came to be. All right, we'll keep going. One more, please. One of the gifts that Sarah continues to give us is that she continues to host the We Cry Justice Theological Reflection Group. Defund Fear is the book for fall. Sarah, do you want to say anything about that briefly?
I would say only that this is a very critical issue, how we think of safety, and the militarization of police and the use of police against civilians is happening, and it's an ongoing thing. It's not getting better. And so I would really encourage folks to join us. Even if you read it before, this was a common read 2 years ago. It'll be the fourth Thursday night in September. I would encourage you to join the community so that we can have the words. You know, we're going to talk about the safety trainings, but so that we can have the words to respond when fear is the thing that is being brought up politically to motivate people.
Yes, thank you. And definitely want to encourage more people to take advantage of this opportunity. It is a really special group, and those that have been participating, I know, really love it. And we will also have an empowered safety training in the fall. We keep talking about this. The registration is coming very soon. I just had our final meeting with our funders about it, so we have the green light. And this is an in-person training to help us from a UU perspective get some practical skills for when safety concerns arise, whether it's in our congregation or out at an action, or knowing that the election day can be a time when we need that training. So it's very important going into the fall. So please also stay tuned to your emails for that opportunity coming in September or October. All right, let's move on to the next slide. TXUUJM votes. Sarah, you can keep it going. I'm so glad. I feel like we look forward to this it just keeps coming down the pike. It's like, it's time. Go ahead.
So the pictures that you see here is an election election information table, a phone bank, and a voter registration naturalization ceremonies, where we had 3 separate congregations involved here in the DFW. So that stuff is like ongoing. Next slide, please. And here's the postcards. People had a lot of fun with postcards last election cycle. I want to tell you right now, we will have postcards, we will have letters, and we really want people to have conversations with voters, which you cannot do with letters and postcards. We want people to be engaged and having conversations about issues that matter. And particularly the nonpartisan work that we do, it focuses on low propensity voters. And so those are voters who may be disillusioned by the system for real and valid reasons, that may have transportation barriers or other barriers to being engaged. And the idea is that if we can talk to them and engage them beyond the current election cycle, because democracy is so much more than voting. Yes, we need electoral solutions, and we need other solutions too. We need people power in the streets, in the letters to legislators and electeds. Next slide, please. And so what we want to invite you into is this work where we're going to be talking to people who are not represented, who are not heard from, and inviting them to take their seat at the table, to speak their voice about what they need from our government and our culture for them to thrive. We are a key state for UU the Vote this year, and so we'll be coordinating with UU the Vote National. The first national phone bank to Texas will be one of their first phone banks on September 2nd. No, it's not September 2nd, it's September 3rd. I changed that, but it doesn't seem to be showing up. But anyway, the first week of September, there will be a national phone bank. And then after that, we will have the Justice Ministry will have weekly opportunities to get together in community and make phone calls or write letters or whatever, that we can get together to be doing these things. Right now, we have over 20 congregations that have made a commitment to participate in some way in TXUUJM votes. This can be postcards and letters. It can be serving as election poll workers, as Sandy commented. We might canvass in person with our partners, have election information tables and phone banking. And you know what? We're going to have infomercials. We just wrapped our first infomercial about being election workers with Sandy and Dale and Michelle and Jan Riolini, who are all on this call. And so that people can get information and inspiration and see how they fit in to these efforts, because not everything is for everyone, but there's probably one activity somewhere in our view of the electoral map of things that you can do, so that is for the person. And so we want to have a few little fun infomercials that we'll put out so that people can really visualize how it can be not just important work, but joyful and connected work. And I think that's all I have got about TXUUJM votes for now. But keep your eyes open, because in August, we will be sending emails about it.
Yes, and that's a lot. It's really exciting to see it. I never thought I'd be so excited about putting together a slide deck, but as the team was working on it, I was like, oh, look at this, look at that. So exciting. All right, let's see what the next slide is. Thank you, Scott. Oh my goodness. Believe it or not, it's almost that time again too. Legislative Action Day will be coming in the late winter or early spring of 2025. We will be reaching out to you if you would like to volunteer and help. I've already had people send me messages in the chat to say, I'll help you with the pivot tables. I love it. There's something for everyone at the Texas UU Justice Ministry. You know, leaning into what is your passion in this work, the gifts that you have to give. I saw singing mentioned in there. There's all kinds of ways to contribute and be a part of this movement. So just stay tuned and let us know if you had the best time last time. We want you to tell your folks in your congregation. We had about 120 people last time. If every one of those people brought somebody else, we would have a bigger group than Equality Texas. We are outsized for the small denomination that we are. I just can't emphasize enough what it means, how we show up. So we're excited for this day to be coming around the bend again. I think Michelle, do you want to say anything about that? Or I know we're kind of short for time, but I want to ask you that.
No, I think that that says a lot. I know the slide deck talks about what we accomplished last time. And we're so looking forward to having even more folks join us for our next Legislative Action Day. We also am hoping to put together a program for our youth as well, to be able to engage in how to do our legislative visits. So yeah, stay tuned. There's so much exciting stuff coming.
Yep. Thanks, Michelle. And one bug I will put in y'all's ear is, you know, we were a part of that fantastic Black maternal health rally because of our relationship with partners. You all have relationships with partners and organizations back home. As you hear about what other folks are planning, please feel free to let us know. We want to make our decision about when we will gather and what our focuses will be based on those relationships with folks in our communities. So please keep us posted as you hear other plans. Let's skip forward, please. Oh, I should say one other thing about that. We are also going to be building a home hospitality list, particularly for Central Texas, though it might make sense to build it for other areas as well, but to make it affordable and hospitable for folks to come to Central Texas for these actions. As I think Michelle said, you know, when some of you came from way outside of Central Texas to the most recent actions at the Capitol, how moving that was to have you all there. And I know it was probably really special, you know, carpooling together and coming down. So we want to be able to support you doing that when you can, even though we also know that the work that you do from all over the state with calls, with emails, with letters to the editor, with signing petitions, with donating, all the things that you do are also extremely valuable. We just want to support you if you do want to come to the Capitol when you can. All right, let's move forward. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this work. I put the board of directors application in the chat. One of the things that was staggering for me to think about as we were hearing from our interns and all of this work over the past 2 years plus, if you're new to TXUUJM or relatively new, you may not know this. As an organization, we were not doing the vast majority of these things 2.5 years ago. Some of them we were. The legislative day is something that a lot of us have cherished for a long time. I was a board member before I was the executive director. Board service is a very important part of how this organization grows and thrives. So if you have any interest or you think of someone who might, the board is accepting applications right now. But I just want to acknowledge what incredible work has been possible, because each and every one of you have given something of your heart, your resources, your passion, your time, to build the things that you're seeing that just weren't here 2 years ago. We are setting an example. You are setting an example for Unitarian Universalists across the country. And it's really inspiring. Thank you. All right. So I think we've covered what's next. We have a song to play while I ask you to offer in the chat a blessing or best wishes for Sarah and Heather on their path forward. And then Sarah is going to offer us some closing words. We will have a little bit of social time if we have any time left, but if not, just thank you for staying here so we could have this abundant time to celebrate Sarah and Heather and your work. Here's your question in the chat. What blessing or best wishes do you share with Sarah and Heather? I forgot I'm supposed to share the music. You can have a little quiet time while I cue it up and share your answers in the chat.
We are family. just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel. We are family. Sing it to me. I got all my sisters with me. Sing it to me. We are family. I can hear you guys. Get up everybody and sing. We have faith in you and the things you do. Hey, hey. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, y'all. Get up everybody and sing. Hey, hey, hey. We are family. I got my sisters with me. I got all my sisters with me. Everybody. Hey, hey, hey. We are family. Y'all. Hey, hey, hey. Get up everybody and sing. Get up and sing it to me.
What beautiful words of blessing you shared that we're going to save. And Sarah, before I turn it over to you, I would be remiss also to not make sure that folks know that we do have an incoming intern minister that we are so thrilled to welcome to the team in August, Bis Thornton, who is on this call, there's Bis. We are so thrilled that you're going to join the team. You will get time for us to share about your call and the things that you're going to be doing, but we're so thrilled. Welcome, 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 welcome. Do you want to say just a quick hello?
Sure. Hi, y'all. This is my quick hello since it's 8:27. Hi, I'm very excited.
Thank you. We are so excited. We will do justice to getting to know you in August when we come back. We're so thrilled. Thank you for being a part of this call and bearing witness to this time of celebration and transition. It's just really special to have all of you in the room. All right, friends. You did it. Sarah, 2 years. Heather, a year of bridging between two organizations. You did it. I hope you feel so proud, and I hope you know how loved and appreciated you are. Sarah, I'll turn it over to you for our closing words.
Yeah, I want you to carry these words that I love from Reverend Joseph Cherry. It's a prayer for living intention. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. Thank y'all for all that you do.
May it be so. We'll see you in August. We'll see Sarah and Heather on the path. We'll see you in action for justice. Be well until we see you again.